Hey, Santana.
What's up,
Welcome.
Dr. Beth?
All right, so let's do this thing. So, we're talking about our workshop coming up on Saturday, June the 2nd, from 11 to 3. I'm actually wondering if we should change it from a workshop to really a symposium or a forum for conversation.
I think that would be working because we have to start with a platform because I don't believe this is really ever been done before on this kind of platform. I mean, it's usually held within the LGBTQ community. I'd like to be inclusive of everybody. So yeah, I agree with you. Let's make it more like a symposium.
And it seems like by me trying to make it all inclusive, I've actually alienated our own family in the LGBTQ family by using the word choice and really offended some people, and even including you.
Right. Well, yeah, because the statement here, what I read, what I understood, was you were basically writing out that you wanted to hold a space for people to come together, get educated, share and communicate their thoughts and ideas about the LGBT community. And you were saying that you would like to hold this platform because of the LGBTQ community and their choices. And what I read was you felt it was a choice. And there may be in there choices, but for me and what I've lived most of my life in my mid 50s now, no, I would have never have chosen this had I had a choice. Um, and
Yeah.
why I wouldn't have chosen it? Because it's not mainstream, because it's not inclusive, because you are excommunicated, because try and get a job as a homosexual. I mean, it's easier now, but you're not the first chosen. It's just, there's discrimination across the board. And to take a big, wide known one, if you are not hygienically clean and 400 pounds, you probably have a hard time getting hired because they're concerned about your availability to work. Well, it's the same thing with homosexuals, right? If you're not user friendly, if somebody's turned off by it, you're not the company brand, so you're not going to get hired either. It's just you're not mainstream. And so I don't believe it is a choice. I believe we need to learn how to cope with it, accept ourselves, how to blend in society, not compromising who we are and standing up for it, but not being harsh about it. I mean, I love that we're going to do this and hold a space. But again, it just, I don't believe it was a choice, but I would love to hear more from you as to why you wrote that.
Okay, I love it. Well, I think for sure it's a blind spot for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that, one of the things that I preach and teach and educate on is not being a victim to anything in my life,
Okay.
period.
Okay.
Rape, um, sexual abuse. This is a radical lean towards being in my power no matter what. No matter what cards I might have been dealt,
Mm-hmm.
I get to choose how I respond to that, and I get to even choose whether I show up as that. For example, I spent a lot of my life hiding my homosexuality.
Mm-hmm.
So I could pass.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived, even though I was in love with 3 different women throughout my life, I, that was at home, and then I would go out in the world. I didn't talk about it or not talk about it, but I could pass.
That is a choice, and I agree with you. That is a choice. But being a
Or at least it was
homosexual,
for me. At least it
yes,
was
no,
for
no,
me.
no. And I'm not mad at you for that at all because it's more accepting. It makes the road a little easier. I mean, Ellen DeGeneres didn't say anything until she became Ellen DeGeneres of the TV world, right? And then it was a big, huge deal about what she does behind closed doors, right? But then it was a step forward for us homosexuals as well. So I'm not blocking the fact that you are choosing to do right by you and to make your life work for you and not be a victim of anything. What I
Yes.
read and understood was there's a choice of being a homosexual or not.
So I'll even go with that. Like, I know of people in my life that started out straight and then
Mm-hmm.
chose to be gay. And I know of people that started out gay and are now choosing to be straight.
How can you choose to control your attraction? You're either attracted or you're not. Now
Well,
you
maybe
can.
they're
I'm not
bisexual.
mad. That's fine too. And you suddenly got awakened to a male if you've been with women all the time, or that's a different choice. What I read was when you are born and you start wanting to become talking about your sexuality and or your gender, that it was a choice. And this is where I disagree. It is not a choice. The choices you're talking about is how you want to handle it, right?
And I would say, Santana, it's not a choice for you and many, many, many others.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if it's a choice for me. Like, for example, I may be totally homophobic, internalized homophobic.
Mm-hmm.
I may be internalized, not owning myself. However, when I stopped a relationship when I was young, I thought, I love men as much as I love women. I'll date men. It'll be so much easier being a child and family psychologist and being with a man. I love everyone.
Right.
And son of a gun, I fell in love with another woman.
Right.
That happened 3 times.
Right.
I am now single, and I am actually choosing consciously to seek out and look for a date with a woman.
Right. Because that's your preference. Because that's what you resonate with. That's what you really want. Right. And it's not to say if you wanted that suddenly you'd be attracted to a man. You can date a man, you can be with a man, you can even marry a man, but do you want to be with a man? That is not a choice. You resonate with women. You're a homosexual. You were open to all kinds of things, but what happened? You were drawn to women. That is not a choice. You're being true to yourself.
So I know that there have been I have many, many friends because I grew up in the South, and it was completely not okay to be a lesbian when I came out at 14.
Right.
Like, it was like my life went to hell in a handbag. Like, it was bad. And so for 15 years, I attempted to not be in love. And I thought, if I could just get myself over this one person, I will, I love everybody. I'm attracted to men. I'm attracted to women. I can fall in love with a man just as easily as I can fall in love with a woman. That was what I thought. And what I want to say for those that are in the LGBTQ community, like you, that don't feel like you have a choice whatsoever. There are people that are on the other extreme. Like, one day I was in a workshop one time, and one of the workshop attendees says, how many of you in the audience, there are about 60 or 70 people in the audience, how many of you have ever had have had gay tendencies or gay thoughts? And 98% of the people in the room came up on stage. And I felt, I think, the way you feel right now, which was this doesn't count. Just because you had a thought one time, that doesn't count.
Right.
Or just because you kissed a girl, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
However, in their view, we're bridging these different worlds, and there's a continuum in the research that shows you can be identified as a 1 on the homosexual scale or a 10 on the heterosexual scale. And then a lot of people see themselves somewhere in the 4, 5, and 6. Where would you identify?
9.
1 to 10. Okay,
9.
so you're a 9. I would probably identify as a 6.
That's fine, but let me give you an example of how I don't think it's a choice. Okay, it's going to be very point
For
blank.
you or for anybody?
Anybody. I'm going to give you a scenario where saying it's a choice is where I don't agree with. And here's a made up scenario. You have a mother and a father who's deep, deep Mormon. They have a son. They gave birth to a son who's now about 10. He's been showing feminine characteristics since younger than that, but they're like, he's a boy. It's okay. In his early teens, at about 12, 13, you start realizing he wants the colors of pink, and he's more feminine, and his moves are more fluid, and he's not interested in the stereotypical boy things. And so now the parents are deeply concerned. And now he's struggling because now he feels like he has to hide what he really wants. And he's becoming more and more quiet and held back and introverted. So then it finally comes out, and somehow he gains the courage, and for lack of better phrasing, and says, "Mom," not dad, right? "Mom, I think I like boys." They have the wherewithal to call you, the doctor of America's teenologist, to help bridge this gap. And you go in and you hear the full-fledged story of both sides. And you tell the parents, because you're telling the son, well, this is a choice.
Okay, so I believe for some children, this is not a choice.
Okay.
I believe it is not a choice.
Okay. Then
And I believe for some children, it is a choice. Not like they can choose. They can choose to dress. They can choose not to dress. They can choose. Like, there have been children that I have worked with that have come out to their families and said, "I'm gay," just for the shock value.
Yeah.
Of trying to freak out their parents.
But you see, hold it there. That's the shock value. And I agree with you. It becomes a fad. It becomes a cutting edge thing. It's cool. I agree. I get you. And even becoming trans now, whether they do the surgery or not, it's the new thing, right? And they want to be included. So in that, I agree. That is a choice. But see, I think that takes away. I mean, that exists. I agree with you. But it takes away from those that do not have the choice, who do not want to be homosexual, who do not want to be bisexual, who do not want to be transsexual. And now they want to kill themselves over this. Right. So when a statement is stated that it's a choice, this is where I stand up and go, no, I don't agree.
Okay. So I love your passion around this. I love, because, for most of the LGBTQ community, you are the spokesperson. I love it. Okay. Stay on that path, hold that tight, and don't let me sway you until it feels authentic. Agreed. My intention in this conversation and in this forum is to actually give everybody their power back, including you.
Yep.
Like, what if you chose before you came into this world that you wanted this path?
Say that again.
What if you consciously chose your parents?
Yes.
You consciously chose your life experience.
Yes.
And maybe even, I don't know what all we could have maybe chosen before. Maybe everything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, yes.
However, when I choose to believe I have a choice in the matter, it takes me out of victim. It's all made up anyway. So I can either make up that I am victimized by my life, or I can make up that I am in power of my life. Both ways, I'm making up the story. One way makes me feel like crap. The other way empowers me and makes me feel safe in my own skin.
Okay, I hear you, and I do agree with you. Because of my Buddhist background, I did choose my parents. I did choose my life. Every obstacle and blessing in my life, I chose. That's how I know I can overcome them. Um, Whether I chose male or female, I don't know. But what I do know is, in my past lives, which I've had many, they've all been male. And the one before this one, I came through as a female, and I didn't make it. I died at the age of 6 from starvation in World War II. I come through again as female, but in my joking way, I say I made it halfway because I'm a homosexual. Okay. I think the cosmetics of sexuality is in this lifetime. And therefore, I'm not sure. I still want to say, when I was a little girl, before I knew about homosexuality and being gay, I already started having fantasies about being with other females. It was my little secret. And it was only okay to express when I was in the shower, or think about when I was in the shower, because as a little girl, to me, that was my only private time, because I shared my room with my sister. So when I was in the shower for those 5 minutes a day, I could fantasize in my head about being with another female. I knew nothing about sexuality. That's what makes me feel so passionate about how it's in me. It's just me. And that's how I felt. It wasn't until I was 17, 18 years old that I knew of such thing as homosexuality, and that women do like women and men like men. And I'm like, what? Right? And it wasn't until I was 19, because then I hear, oh, there's fags, there's gay men, there's this. And I'm like, but what about the women? Then I hear about gay women, and I remember meeting my first gay woman, and her name was Zeis, Zeis. And I walked back because we were working at Just Desserts. And I walked back because I'm all excited to meet her. As a gay woman who likes other women, to me, she was the unicorn. And I wanted to talk to her. And I went back there, and I'm like, hi. And she would not turn around. She was doing dishes. She would not turn around. I'm like, hi. And she kept ignoring me. And finally, she turned around and she says, Santana, that's your name? And I said, yeah. And she says, I cannot hear you until you come out of the closet. And I didn't know what that meant either. Okay.
Yes.
So then I start talking to her, and I find out more about this. So this is why I say there is not a choice. Now, I agree with you that, in today's world, there is choice. Like, you can choose to be goth, you can choose to be punk, you can choose to be gay. And
well, and even in transition, you can choose to live your life as a man, yet stay as a stay as a woman physically. You can choose to have top surgery. You can choose to have bottom surgery.
Yeah.
There are a lot of choices.
Yeah. But
my mom asked me, "Are you transsexual?" Because I was so much like a boy as a kid. And I said, "No, I'm not. I don't feel like I want to become a man.
Right.
I feel like I am a woman."
Yeah.
And I also have a lot of masculine characteristics. So what I mean is, by this choice, and I love this conversation, I want all of us to speak for ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that my life choice, my life beliefs, my life unfolding is the same for you. And I don't want anybody else to put theirs on me either.
Correct. But I now, in this discussion, and as Sensei says, dialogue brings peace. What I'm going to say in this session, I'm quite clear now that when you used the word choice, it was different from where I went. You're talking about doing you, being you, and being empowered within you. When I heard choice, I'm like, I so disagree, because who chooses to be excluded? Who chooses to be discriminated against? Who chooses to not want to be in this world anymore because you don't fit in? right?
Right.
And you're going to tell
Right.
me that I made that choice? I chose to live in a shithole instead of a palace. I chose that. Who does that?
Well, I'm kind of doing that right now.
Explain.
So I am a single woman,
Mm-hmm.
and I can either choose to be loud and proud
Mm-hmm.
and seek to actually date a woman,
Mm-hmm.
or I can stay quiet, be myself, do my thing, see who I might run into, see who I might fall in love with. 3 times I've fallen in love with women. I've dated men, but I've only fallen in love with 3 women.
Mm-hmm. And that's your
Actually,
choice. But
actually 4
you cannot.
is counting.
But and that is your choice on that. But you cannot choose whether you're a homosexual or not. Sorry, I don't agree. You cannot choose if you're trans. You know, my best friend is transsexual. And I heard her story a few times, and now she's a motivational speaker. And I've heard that story at least 8 times because it's a fantastic story and it's so good. I don't mind hearing it yet again. But I'm
Yes.
going to tell you, in hearing that story, you learn so much because you learn the details of it. Because her mom and dad were like the Leave It to Beaver family. It was, you know, the father would really come home on the dot of 5:06 or something like that, get out of the car and play basketball for a little while, and then go in to greet the wife, and dinner would be ready. I mean, this is Leave It to Beaver.
I get it.
And when she grew up fighting what was within her, right? And then she had to do this horrible, she lived a double life basically because she was a good looking boy who and in society's eyes had it all because she was Caucasian too, right? And then so her parents couldn't be more proud. And now she comes home to her Leave It to Beaver family and has to explain, I can't live this way any longer because I'm transsexual. Do you think she wanted in a lifetime to have that conversation with her ever loving parents who were the pristine, clean, Leave It to Beaver family? No. She
I
would
get
have
it.
avoided it like the plague if she could.
I get it. I get it. I get it. I'm not denying that one iota. And I know of a man who lived a heterosexual lifestyle with 2 kids married for 50 years and then came out
Bruce
to
Jenner.
his huh?
Bruce Jenner.
Well, Bruce Jenner too, but this is like my parents' best friend.
Okay.
My mom and dad, my mom and dad's best friend, and my best friend, and my brother's best friend, and we all went to college. And
Yeah.
when this man came out, it destroyed his family.
Yeah.
He made a choice to come out, to be authentic.
Yes, he made a choice to do that. But he did not make a choice about his sexuality. It was.
Okay, and I'm not saying that we make a choice about how we feel and our sexuality. I'm saying we make a choice with what we choose to do with the cards that we are dealt.
Of course.
So that's what I'm saying. As a transsexual, I can choose to have top surgery or bottom surgery or no surgery. Yes?
Absolutely. But yes. But again, I'm going to say we're talking about 2 different choices here. And
that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about choice.
I understand, but here's the thing. It was on an advertisement for a workshop to talk about, in a safe environment, the LGBTQ community.
I get it. Blind spot.
Right.
Guilty. Blind spot. Because I was coming from this perspective of choice.
Yes. Understood.
Not because I would say, you know, if you wanted to be a straight blah, blah, blah girl, that's all you got to do is just do that.
Right.
No way.
Yeah.
Not saying that.
Right. Because I'm going to tell you about my personal life, right? I worked really hard to climb the corporate ladder. Okay. And it was really hard because I'm what they call a 100-footer. You can tell I'm gay from 100 feet away because I won't look good as a feminine woman with long hair and dresses. Sorry, it's just not it. Some people will see that as me being defiant. And I'm not being defiant. What if I told you that you hate red, but you're not accepted unless you wear red? It's like, I don't mean to. I can wear what I want, right? And then you deal with the consequences. So here I am in corporate. I started off reception and I made it up to top management. Okay. I lived a life that was on the 25-30% of Americans out there. I had the three-floored home, the sports cars, the vacation. I had it all. And on paper, I had investment, I had everything. And I was miserable. But that was because I couldn't be my authentic self. And what had me lose that was my boss, who was is a Irish married woman with 3 children. And she decided she liked me more than what was appropriate. And I ended up losing everything. And so I get fired, okay, for wrong things. And I sue the company and I win. All right. So you think, well, then that's fine. No, I couldn't get another job because every other job doesn't care what happened. And I couldn't talk about what I did, how I sued. So they want to talk to my past employer like normal. And the past employer couldn't talk to them. So my life got, if you will, ruined. I couldn't get another job. Okay. Then you go for the $25 an hour jobs and they won't hire me either because I'm overqualified. My resume does not reflect being a cashier. I cannot get a job high end like I'm used to that I'm qualified for because they can't talk to my past employer. So where do I go from there? And it's because I'm a homosexual. Where do you go from there? So my choice was to start my own business. But even then, what am I starting my own business as? A middle-aged, homosexual, if you will, dyke. And I'm cutting off half my community because of my identity. And then I get told, grow your hair, get more feminine. You're a beautiful woman anyway. So why don't you just blend in and everything's fine? That's denying myself. It is not a choice. This is where I come from. From where you come from, the things you're talking about, absolutely agreed. You have that choice. You have that choice.
So here's what I would want us to do in this workshop. Okay. I want you to get your power back. I want you to reclaim your life to the point that you see everything that happened as a gift, not a curse.
Absolutely, I do now. I'm trying to explain to you how it wasn't a choice. I am me now. I am better than I ever been before because I am in my power. Right?
How'd you get there? How did you get there?
A lot of inner growth. Okay, a lot of it's my perspective on things, about how I had to develop my own courage to be me. I had to justify who I am beyond my sexuality. I am Santana Deleuze.
Woo!
Right? Yes, and I am a good person. I'm
yes,
smart. I'm funny. I'm likable. Yes. I'm user friendly. I'm compassionate. I have a long list of good things that I bring. So that's, I put that before my sexuality, and now I'm me, right? And then in that, because I developed that, because I am out loud and proud, because I've become me and I'm full me, I start drag at my age. I start being a drag king at my age. Okay?
That's courageous.
That's how loud and proud I am.
That is courageous.
Okay? And I've been asked, are you a transsexual? Are you trying to tell us you're going to transition into a man? No, I'm telling you that I am loud and proud and brave and courageous and into who I am, and I'm flex-gendered. In fact, if I could wrap my head around the new phrase of they, I might be they, because I'm not a man and I don't like being a woman. So I just might be they. Having a little issue being they, because in my vocabulary, that's plural. But we're working on it, right? Everything's a process. It's a journey. Okay.
Yes, and Santana, even that is a choice. Like you're choosing to not be called they yet.
Well, yeah, it is. That is my choice, but it doesn't
Okay,
mean I'm not they.
Okay, yes, and there are people that would say it is not a choice to be called they or not they.
No, I think a label is a choice. I think identity is not.
And how we choose to identify ourselves. Do I choose to identify as a lesbian? Or do I choose to identify as bi? Or do I choose to identify as flex gender?
Yeah, but the issue is that's a label. That's a label. The fact remains, you are in the LGBTQ community. You are not cisgendered. You are not. You are not. You are not mainstream. Sorry. You are in the diverse, discriminating.
And I embrace it.
Right. But see, that I mean, you know, some people, when they accept my homosexuality, they actually dub themselves cool. They think they're all accepting. Why should that be a difference?
I agree.
You know?
I agree. I had somebody say to me one time, say to me one time, you know, we're going to love you anyway, despite your sin and despite your sexual orientation. Yeah. I said, I so appreciate that. And I'm going to choose to go hang out with people that love me, that are not just having to accept me. You guys have a great time. Bye.
It's truth. It's the truth. It's kind of like
I don't want to be accepted. I don't want to be tolerated.
Right.
I get it. So my vision for this work together, and what we're trying to put out there, what we are putting out there is to create a safe conversation. Like, I totally put my foot in my mouth when I wrote on the copy choice. Like, insert foot in mouth. Just didn't even think from your perspective and how you would see it that way, because I'm coming from my skin.
Yes.
And that's what we are all doing. And what I want to create is a place where we can slow down the process, where it's safe for me to say what I just said to you today, and it's safe for you to say what you said to me today.
Yes.
And for anybody else to come in and say what they may want to say.
Yes.
Without us alienating each other and saying, well, if you believe that, you are no longer in the club.
Right. Well, yeah, I agree. And I can't wait. I want to do this workshop more than I can tell you. But I will tell you, the attendees, it's going to take a lot of courage, a lot of openness, a lot of awareness. You will have to accept being enlightened. It's not just for anybody to come in. You can come. Anybody and everybody is welcome. I will always do things that are inclusive.
Me too.
I will not handle anything exclusive. I'm just saying that the people coming, just their presence alone will make a huge statement, right? Then their contributions, because some may come and just listen, which is fine too. But I'm inviting the people to give them a voice, to give them their own power, to understand that their point of view, regardless of what it is, whatever choice they make, is accepted and needs to be spoken about and needs to be understood. Because you know, we talked earlier about how this subject is taboo. And let's break that taboo, because really, truly, what do you care what I do behind closed doors?
Well, and I think there's a lot of people that are like, this conversation is old. I don't even need to come to this conversation. And what I would say to those people, yay, congratulations. Come give a hand up to the people that aren't there yet. I've never seen I talked with a lot of gay men, and you and I thought that we got absolutely zero support because we were women.
Mm-hmm.
That was our made up story, because out of the 4 gay men that I've talked to, they said they've gotten zero support from the LGBTQ community in their businesses. So there's not we get victimized from outside our family, and we victimize within our family.
Of course. All this stuff goes around like that. I'm going to say, like, gay pride, the pride parade. 25 years ago, I'm all excited about it. And it's the one day a year that you can be you, because it's not as accepted then as it is now. And then I got all offended 2 years into this gay pride, because it's like, why do you have to be naked? Why does it have to be about sex? Why do you have to offend? Because now all of a sudden it's our one day a year. We can help others understand who we are and that we're just people too. Then I got told from the gay community that no, it's our one day a year because it is about sex. Because what do you care what I do behind closed doors? So we're going to throw sex in your face. 2 different perspectives, both on point, but it's not serving the purpose. And those who say it's an old story, well, they are not putting their head around the children, young adults, or just people in general who are still depressed,
killing themselves and killing themselves,
not getting employed, killing themselves, hurting themselves with drugs, being lonely, just in pain. It's not an old story and can be thrown out until there's a resolve, until there's some place to go. And I'd like you and I to start something like that. There's help out there, but I think I'd like to do it in a little bit of a twisted, more.
I think the only way we're going to make this happen is if it's inviting instead of shoulding. Like, you should come here to get fixed, a workshop.
Yeah, I agree. No shoulds.
Or you should, I don't know, come help, or I don't know. It needs to be more of an invitation to come play, an invitation to come create love on the planet, an invitation to come create more fun in all loving relationships.
Okay, and that's another segment of it, but I don't think having the first workshop to talk about the diversity in this world and the non-acceptance is a fun thing. I don't want it to be hardcore or boring or fighting or negative. Absolutely not. I would love it to be loving, compassionate, safe, educational, but I don't see where there's fun when people are hurting, people are dying, people are excluded, people are hurting themselves. I think maybe I know too many people who have killed themselves where I don't see this as fun. I don't want it to be harsh or serious. Please hear my words. But I would like it to be compassionate and open and educating and ask questions. Do you as best as you can do. And that's why I say when you come, it's a badge of honor to come. Honor to yourself for wanting to know, learning more about you, learning more about your friends and family. This is a serious matter, and I don't want it to be a huge debate, but I want you to have a voice. I want you to be understood, and I want you to be heard, and I want to be heard. Because these are true blue life stories. This is not textbook. And so it's not an old story.
Yeah, and we're kind of finding our way through this journey. Yeah. Maybe we first have a forum where it's some old leaders and spiritual people that have gotten to the other side, and we maybe move everybody together to figure out how do we as a community go give love and guidance and support to some of these teenagers and young children that are killing themselves. How do we, the elders of the community, how do we do this? Maybe we're trying to do too much in one afternoon. Maybe we're taking on the parents, the kids, the community, all of us at once.
Well, that perfect. Exactly. That's why I love that you said a forum. Let's open it up. Let's see where it is. Find out the highlighted subjects, take those down, and create workshops around that.
Yes.
Right? What is the most alarming right now to start putting out that huge, gigantic fire of problems in society in regards to the LGBTQ community? I mean, we have moved forward so much. I'm not disregarding any of that. I mean, hell, there's even gay marriage now.
Yes, and
where a loving couple that's been in love for 22 years with children couldn't get married. Yet you can go on a TV show and in an hour get married if you're straight, right? That's the gap I'd like to close up, where we're all equal, we're all inclusive. So
and I think there's also some, like, just as I had the blind spot with the wording, you know, the day that the courts passed the gay marriage and put it, I remember where I was standing. I remember what, and I just started bawling.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I so emotional about this? It's like, why wouldn't I be so emotional about this? How naive of me to think that I wouldn't be so emotional, because I personally am not vested in wanting to get married anyway.
Yeah.
I have a feeling about the whole corporate legalized marriage system, the contract. And so I had no idea how meaningful that would be to me. So maybe one of the things that we could do, Santana, is to do some forums with you and I, you know, just having this conversation. And I would feel comfortable next time doing this with Facebook Live if I can figure out the technology of it. And then maybe we can say once a week, you and I have this forum, and then we lead it into a live forum that everybody can come and participate in.
Absolutely.
In August.
Pick a topic and we go to town on it. I agree.
And then people can challenge us, and people can, you know, tell us where we're all messed up. And here's my double dog dare for you, for me, and for anybody that makes a comment on this video.
Mm-hmm.
See if you can do it in a way that feels loving.
Yes.
I was just talking to a 15-year-old who's actually planning to come to the workshop on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know, how are you at speaking your truth in a loving way? Like, you're a passionate kid, and he's brilliant. He's a really brilliant dude. And if we can all learn to say yes and, yes, I totally get this is not a choice for you. And
yes,
it feels like a choice for me. And I could be totally screwed up. Right. Maybe I have no choice. Maybe that's my own hallucination.
Yeah.
And that's where I have been in my process.
Yeah. I agree. I'm really liking where we're going with all of this, and it's going to have to start in incubator stages and then grow, because it has to grow on people, because they have to understand where we're coming from and what's really happening. I think there's more to come on this, and I think if people see this more and it becomes kind of like a talk show, and we tag certain subjects and we go in depth of it, because I think we're a great match in that you have your perspective of something really kind of on the opposite side of me, because I've been in the trenches, but we're both homosexuals. So this is awesome. And I think we have a lot of meat and a lot of knowledge and experience and passion to bring. Plus, then you are the doctor of this whole thing, and you have the psychology background on it. I think we have a lot to bring forward. Right?
Well, I so respect you, Santana. I'm in awe of you as a person, you as a drag king. I'm like, woo, woo, woo. I'm like, so enamored by that, the courage. That would definitely be a choice for me. If I got myself in drag, that would absolutely be a choice.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to choose not to do that.
I will tell you my very first time, and I won't go into it now, but I will tell you this much. My very first time being in drag, and it's not Halloween, and I stepped out of my apartment door, and the door shut behind me, and the world was in front of me. What a crazy experience that was.
Woo!
Right?
Well, I used to actually feel like a drag queen when I wore a dress. Like my whole life,
yeah.
I felt like I was a drag queen every time I put on high heels.
Right.
I could not embrace my femininity.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm starting to kind of have fun with my sexy female self.
Right on. Well, good. And that's your choice. And that is, and I think it's fun. And you have the choice to go back and forth, take it further, do what you want. And it's no harm, no foul. In fact, I think it's quite healthy for you. Not to mention fun and, anytime.
Entertaining and who knows what else.
Right. But
right.
But when you have to choose a negative route, and that's considered a choice. Nobody chooses a negative route. Not consciously anyway, right? They don't.
However, I teach this in my work with teens and parents of teens. All the time, teenagers choose to shoot themselves in the foot. On purpose. Unconsciously, consciously, just for the hell of it. I know one kid who was raised in a very loving, accepting household, like over the top, one of the hippie type loving moms and dads. He painted a swastika on his roof and put a burning cross in his front yard. His parents thought they were going to die.
Right.
I mean, I could give you story after story after story.
But
when I've worked with one other thing, when I've worked with young kids, and this is why, when we come from our perspective and a child comes out, and one of the reasons I think I can be so effective as a psychologist in this area is because I'm not attached to the child being gay. I'm not attached to the child being trans. I'm not attached to the child being straight. I'm not attached. What I'm attached to is letting the child have their authentic voice and letting the child explore, because they may not even be sure yet.
Yeah. But I'm not even talking about what they're sure or not sure of. I think maybe my statement of who would choose a negative path was maybe a poor analogy, because what I'm really will always drive home is when you are born this way, there is no choice. And it's up to you to deal with it or not. There is no choice. My sister, who's 10 years older than me, I know would have loved and been closer to me had I had a boyfriend and then a husband. And she would have, I know she's sad that I never gave her nieces or nephews. Now, as a homosexual, it's not to say I couldn't do it then physically, but it's just not in my realm. And so I
in your choice.
Pardon?
It's not in your choice.
Correct. Can you see me pregnant? Come on. It's not there. I would
absolutely
try.
Absolutely. I could, and I'm sure there are, I know of dykes that self-identify as dykes that have been pregnant.
Yes. Well, hell, there was that first transgendered man who gave birth on Oprah. Okay, so there's all kinds of things. But what I'm saying is, those like me, which there are millions, if not trillions, do not have that choice. And it's not, and yeah, okay, if you really want to technically do it, yeah, I can go out and have sex with a man right now. Technically, I can do that. That's not who I am. That's not a
That's
choice.
not what you choose to do with your body.
I can't. It's not
And
there. It's not. It's like, for me, that would be like having sexual activity with an animal. It's not there. It's just
yes.
no. It's a no.
Okay. And can you give yourself the opening that is not there for me right now?
No, because I'm that confident it will never be there for me.
Okay. And
I've never wanted attention from men. Never. Have I been with a man? Yeah, I've been with, I think, 5. Never slept with them. And it was because those times I was really messed up and not feeling okay. So it was a default. Okay?
trying to fit in,
It was just a body, yeah. It was not who I was, you know. In fact, when I was 21 years old, I remember going, oh my God, I'm a homosexual. What am I going to do? I really realized this in my 18th year in high school, and I flipped out. But when I was 21, I was pretty sure I was a gay woman. And I remember this one night trying to take myself out to straight bars to make sure and give it a last Herculean shot of, am I really a homosexual? And that's a whole other story that somebody else will have to tap into at another time. But the end point of it is, man, it's a story. I've told it quite a few times, not a ton of times, but I'm willing to share at another time. But the end result was I tried.
Okay. So, Santana, I believe you, and I trust you are a homosexual.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody else questions that. I believe you.
Yes.
I believe that is who you are at the core of your DNA, at the core of your presence, at the core of your soul. Mm-hmm. That is who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like a victim to that core?
I used to.
Do you now?
No.
That's what I want. That's what I want to do in this journey.
Yeah.
Is I want, and I felt the same way, Santana. I felt the same way. I felt like, you know, I was ruined, and, you know, we'll go into more of these things in other stories, but let's start wrapping it up. Mm-hmm. The key is, how do we bring hope, and how do we bring openness, and how do we bring safety and love and inclusivity into this conversation, so that we start to bridge the gap between even those of us in the same community that identify with the same letter.
Right. Right. I think I know, I think I have a path on how, because, I mean, there is still discrimination. And if I choose, there is still victimization, but I'm not choosing that. Okay, I can still wear the hat of, I can't be in corporate anymore because of what happened. Or I can say, thank God I'm not in corporate anymore because I don't have the Sunday night blues, the fever-faced Fridays, and looking forward to hump day, having one day to myself and one day to live life out of a week, right? It's my perspective.
Yes, right? And there's even a third alternative, Santana. I know dykes, self-identified dykes, mm-hmm. in corporate America, mm-hmm. making it.
Yes. Oh yeah, I was making it too until I got victimized into somebody liking me who happened to be my boss, and then she made sure I was fired because I said no.
So I want to give you the gift and everybody else the gift, including myself, that whatever has happened in the past, we can create and live anew.
I am.
Okay.
I am.
So,
But
anything goes. Anything.
yes, yes. I strongly believe it's perspective. It's perspective, right? And this choice thing is a perfect example. Your perspective on saying it was a choice is a whole different story than when I read it was a choice. It's
Yes.
perspective. And this is why we're having this dialogue. And
Yes.
I can call myself a victim still, or I can say I'm victorious and was handed a gift that I'm no longer in corporate doing 80 hours a week, working myself to the bone to enjoy one day a week. Right?
And
now I enjoy every day.
Yes, yes. And I can call myself a victim to being called out using the wrong word, or I can experience that as the greatest gift.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you to you, and thank you to the other two people that posted and brought that to my attention.
Right.
Love it.
Yeah.
Can we create space where we can do more of that?
I so badly want to do that. So the answer is yes.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yes, I think we are.
So, any closing remarks before we wrap this up?
Well, a little one, and that is, I think even through this dialogue, we've put down more foundation, and I have a stronger desire and passion to get this out there. And I invite as many people as possible. I don't care what color, creed, race, sexuality you are. Come join. I want to hear you. I want to know it. And at the very minimum, we all learn and grow. And become more one. Yes.
Boo-ah! and I am just so honored and blessed to get to have this shared space with you, Santana, and to go through this journey and to go through this process. Looking forward to what may come.
I really am. Me too. Me too.
All right. I'm going to stop the recording and hang on 1 second. Bye, everybody.
Bye.